This exhibition is a celebration of the era of abstract expressionism. It was really the great big international avant-garde movement. And it happened in New York City in the 40s, 50s, and had an intensity of creativity and a kind of collective burst of ambition to put New York City on the map and to put post-war painting on the map in a way that would both respect but challenge and overturn the clear domination of the early 20th century giants such as Picasso and Matisse. The excitement, the commitment, the originality of what these men and women did on canvas, on paper, in stone and metal, with photography and film, many of them quite directly affected by what had happened in Europe. Seeing civilization as they knew it having fallen apart, thinking of the bombings in Japan. Unthinkable things had happened. The genocide that they had all witnessed happening just in the last few years on their planet, in their supposedly cultured civilization. And there was an enormous sense that if the world was going to keep on going, it needed to be reinvented. And what to me is such a beautiful idea is that the ambition was there and the conviction and the faith was there on the part of these artists, that somehow that by forging a new art, a new painting, they were somehow contributing to the birth of a new culture, of a fresh start for human civilization. And it was that serious, it was that committed on their part. What did they have in common? Not very much in terms of style. If you look at a Jackson Pollock, you look at a Mark Rothko, you look at a Barnett Newman, you look at a Bill de Kooning painting, they couldn't be more unlike one another. So what did they share? For all of those artists, and this is one of the reasons their products look so different from one another, it was an ultimately profound and urgent expression of self. At that moment, these artists felt that their art was their transformation, first of themselves, but then of the society in which they lived. That simply by providing a voice for them to express their own souls on this canvas, or in these sculptures, as the case might be, there was a validity and there was, in fact, an essential quality to being an artist that was really unique in its time and unique in modern art. Today, the contemporary art world in New York and all over the world is a huge industry. But in fact, in the 1940s in New York City, it couldn't have been more different. It was a tiny band of people who were interested in contemporary art, including in that band, of course, the staff of the Museum of Modern Art, which at that point wasn't even 20 years old yet. The artists all knew each other. The galleries were a place that you could visit in one afternoon. Museum shows were something that everybody would see every one because there weren't that many to choose from. The collectors you could count on one hand. None of these abstract expressionist artists expected to make a penny from what they were doing. Today, it's hard to imagine that completely different world. But the reason it changed, or the point at which it changed, was in fact with the abstract expressionists. This scrappy band of a few painters and sculptors working together, showing together, thinking things through by going to bars, going to parties, going to cafeterias, going to galleries, talking, because this was as much a movement of a kind of social bonding, exploring, thinking through together as it was one of isolated geniuses at work in their studios. That decade saw the beginnings of the transformation from contemporary art being a tiny insider circle type phenomenon to the kind of phenomenon that one sees here today all around us, where it's a topic that interests almost everybody.